Well, it's in a good direction, and there's definitely some people right now that I know are watching this are like, Nick, who the hell did you bring on the channel? So, Charlie, I know there's a good 50% of our viewers that know you, watch your channel, consume some of your stuff. Some people have, sent your way, and they're like, dude, Nick, thank you for sending me to Charlie. Like, I've been seeing the stuff you talk about broad. I went to Charlie, learned more about broad. Now it's like exponentially growing my results with Facebook. But for those who don't know you, Charlie, can you give like your elevator pitch or your Uber pitch of
Sure.
what you do and what specifically about Facebook ads that you've shed to the industry that's just been creating some of these amazing case studies?
Yeah, I mean, I've been around the Facebook game since before there was a pixel. I remember when conversion campaigns were invented, which, by the way, was 10 times the tragedy that iOS 14 was supposed to be. And my clients have been mom and pop shops spending $50, $100 a month to CBS, Nissan, Apple, Progressive Insurance, MGM, New Balance. I brought brands to market. I've been around the game for a long, long time. I've developed 6, 7, 8, 9-figure brands. I've spent over $1 million a day. I launched the very first lead gen ad unit. I did the alpha for DPA. I did the alpha for Canvas ads, rest in peace. And I was there for the development of the Power Five, in the original Facebook Disruptor group. And so I kind of helped write the manual on how to do creative testing and use CBO with advanced matching to scale to $100 million for brands. And over the last several years, I went from training agencies and working in-house as an employee at businesses to training media buyers, brands, and agencies at a direct level to teach them the operations, standard operating procedures, and the architecture and the repeatable systems and process for projectable and scalable results that you can trust. I just thoroughly enjoy this stuff. I know it intimately because I helped build a lot of it. And I think I said before, I've made a couple $100 million in mistakes. And now every single day I get to talk to people from around the world where I'm in their ad account solving their problems. And my biggest focus is to help people be more successful, to be less stressed, and to ultimately create jobs and opportunity, confidence, and freedom for folks. And that is a blessing that I can have because I have been there. I'm a recovered junkie. I got about 10 years clean. I used to have to make the decision between heroin and food. And now I get to help people quit their jobs and achieve their dreams and create opportunities for others. And it is a beautiful place. And I think that is about 27 minutes shorter than any other description I could possibly give about how I got here.
No, that was beautifully well said, man. And I first discovered your content somewhere around January when I got onto DTC Twitter, and I was aware of the broad targeting. I first discovered it from Chase Chappelle, Chappelle Digital, sometime like mid 2021, and I started spending a little bit on broad, not much, never embraced it, but I understood the power of it because my biggest case studies always had a broad audience in it. So then I came across your stuff in January and I started really embracing it. And since February of 2022 till now, we haven't ran one interest, one lookalike, or one retargeting campaign. And we managed around $750 to $1 million a month in ad spend between 10 clients. And last year, we never crossed 200-300K a month in ad spend. And we were running interest, lookalike, retargetings, and all this crazy stuff. And now we're spending more and making our clients the most money ever by just simplifying everything. So I definitely owe you, huge thank you for that. Just to really kind of hit some of those key points. And at first I was very skeptical, which is a lot of other people that are watching this are like, Nick, I've tried broad targeting. It didn't work. And I'm curious, I know you get that 1,000 times a day, but what is like your short form answer? Hey, I tried broad targeting. I had a lookalike that was running at 3x ROAS, interest group that was running at a 5x ROAS, and then I threw in a broad targeting audience with some ads for those groups, and it didn't work. What's your typical response for that?
Yeah, well, it's 3 parts. Number one, ROAS is a nonsense number. Throw it out, never use it again. It doesn't mean anything. Actually, the concept of attribution is saying that the last touch point gets credit for the entire sale. So does the car salesman at the dealership, should they get credit for every car sold by that they sell? Basically, if you want to start a brand new car company, does that mean you just need to hire 1 million salespeople and you'll be a billionaire overnight? No, that's ridiculous. So first part is we have to get rid of that, because ultimately your business doesn't grow because your Facebook ROAS is good. Your business grows because cash flow and a customer acquisition is happening at scale that ultimately can overcome your burn rate, right? It's a finance problem, right? It's a math problem. So first off, the analysis of what's working, what's not working needs to be changed. Second, part of the reason when you're running lookalikes and interest targeting and broad, why lookalikes and the interest groups work better is because they're stealing what the broad could do. The broad doesn't have the opportunity of making those touch points. So if you've got a 200 million person audience, or maybe you're in like Italy and it's like 17 million or something like that. If you've got lookalikes that have been running, number one, there's a lot of data behind them, or interest groups or whatever that have been running and are much smaller, the opportunity for them to today outperform things is probably true, but that's penny smart, pound foolish. You're stepping over millions of dollars to go grab a $10 bill on the street. You're not thinking about what life is going to be like in 3 months. You're trying to stay in business today, and you've got to switch up that thinking. And then the last thing that I want to do is talk about what broad really is. And you have to understand that audiences don't do targeting. The concept that an audience targets individuals is a fallacy. That's not how it works. An audience constrains the available inventory to just certain people. Now, an interest group, which by the way, Facebook hasn't done development on interest group in years. So you're using 5-6-year-old technology that Facebook doesn't support and have been begging you to stop using for forever. An interest group, 1/3 of the people in an interest group are there by accident, like the tech is just out of date. Half of the people that are there because they don't like you, not because they do. And interest doesn't imply intent. So that means up to 2/3 of your available audience is bad. But hey, that other 1/3 is great. And you're seeing wonderful results from them. And then you're like, well, lookalike targeting just follows people that are going to buy. Sure, but it's predictive. It uses a data set that you have to establish what things might happen. The problem is, as you deplete that data set, you're getting a smaller, if it takes you 1,000 impressions or 20,000 or 100,000 impressions to drive a sale, and say you reach 50,000 people, one person buys, which isn't terribly uncommon with CPMs. Let's say it's 5,000 people, 3,000 people to get somebody to buy. 3,000 people, $20 CPM, $60 CPA. Let's say it's 3,000 people. The quality of that lookalike after several weeks is going to continue to deplete because you're running out of new people. So you're making a copy of a copy based on lower quality data over and over again. So it's like a VHS of a VHS of a VHS to the point where it stops working. So audiences don't do targeting. They restrict the available inventory to a certain spot. Now, the real truth is ads do the targeting. And I'll give a very quick example on this. If you send out an ad and it reaches 1,000 people, 500 people liked it, 500 people didn't. When that ad goes out to the next 1,000 people, do you think that Facebook will try to comprise that 1,000 people who are more like the 500 that received it positively, especially if somebody clicked on it or watched it or commented on it? Of course. It's going to go after people who look like those that responded positively, especially if they start taking desired actions. That's a lookalike audience. Every post ID makes its own lookalike audience. When you drop in detailed targeting, one, you're paying a premium. Back in the day, Facebook literally used to tell you this detailed targeting option is 28 cents CPM or 50 cents CPM higher. And I know you're thinking, well, that's not that big of a deal, but we're talking back when CPMs were like $4, $3, right?
Like TikTok CPMs now.
Yeah. Or what they were in November when everybody said it was the future. Now they could be $30, $40, $50. But yeah, My point there is you're paying a premium to then constrain the available people that can see your ad. Your hope is that what the ads lookalike audience is has an overlap over what that interest group is. At a small scale, there is an overlap, and there's definitely some people to get. At $100 a day, that might be great. At $10,000 a day, you're going to run out in like 3 days, and you'll never be able to use it again. So you're never going to be able to scale by paying extra to make your ads less successful. And when you run broad, all of your data goes into one place. So ultimately, the machine gets smarter and smarter. That concept of Kaizen, it's going to get a little bit better every single day. And it's getting a little bit better by basically you're saying, hopefully you make the right choice, but a bad choice is never going to be repeated. And eventually you're whittling away all the gray area. You're chipping away at the marble until all you have left is the good money. And if you think of it in that way, there's legitimately no good reason to use something other than broad, which, by the way, is doing retargeting for you anyway. If you don't believe me, go look at the frequency column. Is it over 1.0? If the answer is yes, then that means people are getting retargeted. So there's debunks everything about targeting, hopefully in the simplest way possible. Believe me, I've done hours that get way more in depth, but I'm trying to be more concise.
Yeah, no, you hit it straight on that. And another way too, for the retargeting side, yeah, it looks cool with a second campaign, $50 spend with, a $500 in revenue. Yeah, you have a 10x ROAS, but then your main campaign's making $1,000. They had $2,000 or $3,000 a day in revenue. It's like, it's a small portion of revenue, and your main campaign would have done it anyway without that retargeting ad set. So
sure,
it's just like that mental compartment that people are making around retargeting and like prospecting separately.
And even on top of that, does that extra $500 show up actually in your cash register as an extra 500? Probably not. Maybe it shows up an extra $120. But if you send out an email and somebody opens it and clicks on something and then searches on Google, lands on something, and later that day gets served an ad and buys, maybe you needed all those touch points, but Google and email is also going to get credit for the revenue. And what if that situation's reversed? What if they see your ad and then open an email from you? That ad, if you have view through, is going to get credit. And I'm not saying the view through is bad, but retargeting revenue is far less incremental. So maybe you get a 5x, but if only 20% of it is real new money, you basically broke even and you spent a lot extra money to do it. And the opportunity cost is, if your retargeting CPM is 50 and your prospecting is 15, you reached the same people a few times instead of reaching 3 times as many brand new people. You prevented your business from growing by trying to make Facebook look better, even though you didn't actually receive any additional revenue because of it. Over cost, which is, generally speaking, not a way you grow a business.
Correct.
Frowned upon in this establishment. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And also too, like, I think people are looking at it from a different perspective too. This is the reason why I love it. I used to run 4 retargeting campaigns: a MoFu, a BoFu, and then a past purchases campaign. And then some of those campaigns I would have like a 0 to 7 days, 14 to 30 days. And I would have so many different creative concepts in the account that I was focusing on stuff just to make a little bit more money in the back end, but I wasn't focusing on the things that was, you can go, if you go double your top of funnel revenue right now, it's going to create a huge incremental lift in your business.
Sure.
If you go increase your retargeting effectiveness, yeah, it might make a little lift, but your retargeting is still dependent on your prospecting anyway to keep feeding people in the funnel. So you're building the wrong part of the business.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, when you start to look at a business as a whole, and say you've got Google or search, because I'll say Google but it should be search. By the way, if you're running Google and not Bing, do yourself a favor, open up a Bing account. It has an import Google Ads function. It's a button, and you'll basically be on 2 platforms that will 100% duplicate your Google. Do that right now. Like, pause, come back in like 15 minutes, and You know, you'll be making a few extra bucks tomorrow. Like, just do it. But if you're also running email, what you have to understand is, do you think retargeting the people that were added to that are in your abandoned cart email flows that are already searching for you is going to drive you new net revenue versus reaching 100 new people that have never heard of you before? Which one of those things do you think, if you do at scale 1,000 times over, is going to make you rich versus which one is going to make a report that makes the Facebook media buyer feel good in a meeting that doesn't include the CEO or the finance department? Like, you got to understand what your objectives are, what your priorities are. So yeah, running it broad on Facebook also improves your email open rate, because people are likely your business are more likely to open the email. Improves your search volume. And if you're running Google Analytics to data traffic analysis in UTMs, which I have a whole other problem with UTMs. I don't use them, but that's just because I don't care about ego. You're going to see direct traffic spike when you run broad versus retargeting. That the direct untracked traffic is going to go way up, because how many of those people just hear about you and go to your site? Or how many of those people click, but they got ad blockers on? Or how many times is your UTM attached anyway, but it gets stripped because they're inside the Facebook browser or on incognito window? That could be as small as 18% of your traffic and as big as 60 to 70%. So why not focus on bringing in new people? Plus, it's so much easier. Like, it could be, if you're managing Facebook and it's over 3 hours a week, I promise you're working too hard. Like, I'm an equity partner in a business, women's clothing business. I got brought on in February. They spent $200,000 in Facebook ads. In July, we spent 1.2 million.
That's amazing.
I spend maybe 3 hours a week. I do all my reports on in-platform attribution on a Google Sheet. I only do broad with dynamic creatives. I'm promoting one product, and we're crushing. When everybody else says Facebook's hard and you're coming in a recession, you're not. That's a lie. So if your business is going down right now, understand it's not that less people are buying. Maybe that's true. But what it also means is there's somebody out there doing better than you, stealing your market share. There's always a dog bigger than you in the pound. You just have to eat their food, even if there's less food to go around. And that should be your focus. There's no limitation in buying behavior and all that. That's nonsense. People are still spending money. Like, yeah, you're not Blockbuster losing to Netflix, right? You got a corner bakery and like you know, like, and somebody opens up a Dunkin' Donuts down the street. That's your problem. They're just going to steal your market share from you. Like, so you have to compete with that. And if you get your stuff right, like, you'll be able to put the Starbucks out of business in your small town because you just do a better job of customer service and product. And you see that happening all the time. So run a good business and keep it simple. Like, yeah, we're going to do a 7-figure business. It takes me maybe 10 hours a month to manage. Before I came on, it was 3 to 4 hours a day. And that's just you're just working way too hard to hurt your future.